I discovered she was running a viral gossip page using stories from our private life. I didn't confront her. I just started leaking anonymous, verifiable information to her rival page and fans. She was devastated when her own secrets became the hottest news. I, 32M, never imagined my marriage would end because of Instagram. Not infidelity in the traditional sense. Not money problems. Not even the usual compatibility issues that wear couples down. No, my wife turned our entire life into content for her anonymous gossip page. And when I found out, I didn't get angry. I got creative. We'd been married for 4 years when I discovered what she was doing. The signs were always there. I just never connected them. She'd become obsessed with her phone around 18 months ago, constantly typing away with this secretive smile. When I'd ask what was so interesting, she'd mumble something about a friend's drama or some viral post. I trusted her completely, so I never pushed. That trust turned out to be my biggest mistake. The discovery happened on a Tuesday evening. She was in the shower, and her laptop was open on the kitchen counter. I wasn't snooping, I just needed to look up a recipe, and my phone was charging upstairs. When I opened a browser tab, there it was. Her Instagram business account wasn't logged out. The page was called Inkspiller Daily, and it had over 340,000 followers. My stomach dropped as I scrolled through the posts. The content was presented as anonymous submissions, juicy relationship drama and family scandals that people supposedly sent in. But I recognized the stories immediately. There was the post about a husband who accidentally ruined his wife's expensive dress by throwing it in with his gym clothes, complete with details about how she'd saved for months to buy it. That was us, from 6 months ago. Another post detailed a man who got drunk at his brother's wedding and insulted the bride's family. That was my cousin's wedding last year, an event she'd attended with me. The post had 50,000 likes and hundreds of comments calling the guy every name imaginable. My hands were shaking as I kept scrolling. There were at least 20 posts I could directly trace back to our life, our friends, our family gatherings. She'd changed minor details, switched genders sometimes, altered locations, but the core stories were real. Our private moments, our arguments, embarrassing incidents involving people we knew, all of it packaged as anonymous drama for strangers to consume and judge. The page was monetized too. She had sponsorship posts, affiliate links, even a Patreon where people paid for exclusive tea. She was making money off our lives, off our privacy, off moments that were supposed to be just ours. I checked the account insights. The page was pulling in roughly $4,000 a month. She had a whole business built on betrayal. I sat there for 20 minutes, just processing. Part of me wanted to storm into the bathroom and confront her immediately, but something held me back. Maybe it was the methodical part of my brain kicking in, or maybe it was the sheer scale of the deception that made me realize this needed more than just a confrontation. She'd been doing this for over a year, carefully crafting this empire of gossip while lying to my face every single day. When she came out of the shower, I was sitting on the couch with my own phone, acting normal. She kissed my forehead and asked what I wanted for dinner. I suggested pizza, just like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. I spent that entire evening watching her, really watching her. Every time she picked up her phone, I wondered if she was turning something I'd just said into content. When she laughed at a text, I wondered if it was a comment from one of her followers, people who had no idea they were consuming stories about real people with real lives. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay there next to her, this woman I thought I knew, and realized I'd been married to a stranger. The betrayal cut deeper than I'd initially understood. It wasn't just about privacy. She'd taken intimate moments, vulnerable conversations, personal struggles, and turned them into entertainment. She'd commodified our relationship, our families, our friends, all for likes and revenue. By morning, I'd made my decision. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet, because screaming and crying would give her a chance to apologize, to justify, to manipulate. Instead, I was going to make her understand exactly what she'd done, make her feel the exposure she'd subjected everyone else to. And I knew exactly how to do it. Inkspiller Daily had a rival page called Real Drama Revealed. They had a smaller following, around 180,000, but they positioned themselves as more authentic, claiming they verified their stories before posting. I'd seen T-Spiller Daily mock them in stories, calling them desperate and irrelevant. The rivalry was public and bitter. Perfect. I created an anonymous email account and reached out to Real Drama Revealed. I told them I had exclusive, verifiable information about one of the biggest tea pages on Instagram. I had screenshots, I had proof, and I was willing to share everything. They responded within an hour, eager and curious. I started slow, drip-feeding them information that would be impossible for my wife to trace back to me. First, I sent them screenshots of T-Spiller Daily posts alongside the real events they were based on. I provided context that proved these weren't random submissions but actual stories from a real person's life. I didn't reveal who was running the page yet. I wanted to build momentum. Real Drama Revealed posted the expose 3 days later, titled "Is T-Spiller Daily Faking Their Anonymous Submissions?" The post went viral within hours. My wife was devastated. I watched her spiral that evening, frantically scrolling through comments, her face pale and stressed. She posted a defensive story claiming all her content was real, submitted by real people, but her followers were turning. The doubt had been planted. She barely ate dinner, just kept refreshing her phone, watching her carefully constructed empire begin to crack. I felt nothing. No guilt, no sympathy, just cold satisfaction. Over the next week, I escalated. I sent Real Drama Revealed information about the money she was making, screenshots of her private business accounts that I'd accessed through her laptop. They posted about how T-Spiller Daily was profiting off potentially fake drama, how the whole thing might be an elaborate scam. My wife lost 15,000 followers in 3 days. Brands started pulling sponsorships. She cried herself to sleep, asking me if I thought she should just delete the whole page. I held her and told her that if the accusations were false, the truth would come out eventually. She had no idea I was the one orchestrating her downfall. But I wasn't done. Phase 2 was more personal. I started feeding Real Drama Revealed stories about her. Real stories, verifiable ones, the kind of content she'd been posting about everyone else. I told them about how she'd cheated on her college boyfriend by making out with his roommate at a party, then blamed the roommate when she got caught. I provided yearbook photos, names of mutual friends who could verify the story. I told them about how she'd stolen money from her youngest sister's college fund to buy a designer bag, claiming she'd pay it back but never did. I had screenshots of old family group chats where her sister confronted her about it. Every story was true, carefully documented, impossible to deny. And just like she'd done to everyone else, I changed minor details to maintain plausible deniability while keeping the core facts intact. Real Drama Revealed posted the stories as part of their ongoing expose series. The person behind T-Spiller Daily, a hypocrite's true colors. Each post was more damning than the last. I watched my wife's world crumble in real time. Her family started texting her, clearly recognizing themselves in the stories. Her sister called, screaming about the college fund story being public. My wife tried to deny it, but the evidence was right there on Instagram for hundreds of thousands of people to see and judge. The delicious irony wasn't lost on me. She'd built her page on exposing others, on turning private shame into public spectacle, and now she was experiencing exactly that. Every comment calling her a hypocrite, every share of the post mocking her, every follower she lost, it was all just a mirror of what she'd done to others. She came to me one night, absolutely broken, asking if I'd seen what was happening. She told me everything then, the whole truth about T-Spiller Daily, how she'd built it, how she'd been using stories from our life. She was crying, apologizing, saying she never meant to hurt anyone. It just started small and got out of control. She looked at me with these desperate eyes and asked if I still loved her, if I could forgive her. I held her face in my hands and told her I loved her, that we'd get through this together, that the internet had a short memory and this would blow over. She believed me. She actually believed me. 2 days later, I sent Real Drama Revealed the final piece. Screenshots proving that my wife was T-Spiller Daily. I'd taken photos of her laptop showing her logged into the account, her business email, her payment records, everything. I even included screenshots of our private conversations where she'd reference things that ended up on the page hours later, creating a timeline that was impossible to refute. Real Drama Revealed posted the ultimate expose. They revealed her identity, her full name, everything. They laid out the entire timeline of her deception, showed how she'd exploited her own life and the lives of people who trusted her, all for profit and internet fame. The post got over 200,000 likes in 6 hours. T-Spiller Daily went from 325,000 followers to 89,000 overnight as people mass unfollowed. The comments were vicious, the kind of vicious she'd cultivated on her own page, now turned against her. She was tagged in hundreds of posts. People from high school and college started commenting, sharing their own stories about her. Former friends called her out publicly. Her family group chat apparently exploded with accusations and anger. She became exactly what she'd made so many others, a villain in an internet drama, except this time it was her real name attached to it, her real reputation being destroyed. She didn't come home that night. She texted me saying she was staying at a hotel, that she couldn't face anyone, that she wanted to die. I texted back asking which hotel, saying I'd come be with her. She said she needed to be alone. I told her I understood and that I loved her. The next morning, she showed up at the house looking like she hadn't slept. She'd aged years and days. She sat across from me at the kitchen table and asked me point blank if I'd had anything to do with the leaks. I looked her right in the eyes and told her no, that I was just as shocked as she was about all of this coming out. She wanted to believe me. I could see her trying to convince herself that her husband wouldn't betray her like this. But there was doubt in her eyes, a flicker of suspicion she couldn't quite shake. I asked her if she really thought I'd be capable of something like this, if she honestly believed I'd destroy her on purpose. She started crying again and apologized for even asking. That's when I told her the truth. I pulled out my phone and showed her the email account, the conversations with Real Drama Revealed, the carefully compiled evidence I'd sent them. I watched her face go from confusion to disbelief to absolute horror as she realized what I'd done. She asked me why, her voice breaking, and I asked her if she seriously didn't understand. I reminded her of every story she'd posted about us. The time I confided in her about my anxiety, and it became a post about a weak husband who couldn't handle stress. The fight we had about wanting kids that she turned into content about a man trying to trap his wife with a baby. The deeply personal moment when I cried about my father's death transformed into a story about a man having an emotional breakdown at a family dinner. She'd taken my vulnerabilities, my pain, my private moments, and served them up for strangers to mock and dissect. I told her about finding the laptop, about the sick feeling in my stomach when I realized our entire marriage had been content for her. I explained how I'd watched her laugh at comments calling me pathetic, how I'd seen her engage with followers who called people in her stories losers and failures, knowing those people were me, were our friends, were our family. She tried to justify it, saying she never used real names, that she changed details, that it wasn't really about us. I cut her off. I told her that intent didn't matter when the impact was betrayal. She'd violated every person who trusted her. And for what? Money? Validation from strangers? The cheap thrill of having followers? I asked her how it felt, being on the other side. Having her secrets exposed, her reputation destroyed, her family turning on her, strangers judging her without knowing the full context. I asked if she enjoyed being the main character in everyone else's drama now. She just sat there crying, unable to answer. She begged me not to leave her, said she'd do anything to fix this. She promised to delete everything, to apologize publicly, to go to therapy, whatever I wanted. I told her it was too late for that. The damage was done, not just to us but to every person she'd exploited. Her apologies wouldn't undo the humiliation she'd caused, wouldn't restore the trust she'd broken. I filed for divorce the next week. She didn't contest it. Her family knew what she'd done. Our friends knew. Everyone knew. She'd become radioactive, a cautionary tale about internet ethics and the danger of turning real life into content. She moved back in with her parents, deleted all her social media, apparently started seeing a therapist. I heard through mutual friends that she's struggling, that the whole experience broke something in her. Part of me feels bad about that. But then I remember scrolling through T-Spiller Daily that first night, seeing my private pain packaged as entertainment, reading comments from strangers calling me weak and pathetic based on her twisted version of events. The sympathy evaporates pretty quickly. The divorce was finalized 2 months ago. I kept the house. She kept her shame. Real Drama Revealed eventually posted an update revealing that their source for the T-Spiller Daily expose was the page owner's husband, which created another wave of drama. People debated whether what I did was justified or equally toxic. Some called me a hero for exposing a fraud. Others said I was just as bad as her for the public humiliation. I didn't care either way. It was never about public opinion. It was about making her understand what she'd done, making her feel the violation she'd inflicted on others. And based on the last text I got from her, apologizing again and saying she finally understood why I'd reacted the way I did, I'd say the message was received. I'm rebuilding now. Dating again, slowly. I'm cautious about what I share. Hyper-aware of privacy in a way I never was before. I look at social media differently, wondering how many viral stories are actually just someone's betrayal packaged as entertainment. How many anonymous posts are real people's real pain being consumed by strangers who don't know or care about the damage they're participating in. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far, if I became the villain in my own story by orchestrating her downfall so methodically. Then I remember that she had every opportunity to stop, to consider the ethics of what she was doing, to think about the real people behind her content. She chose not to. She chose profit and attention over integrity and basic human decency. I gave her exactly what she gave everyone else: exposure. The only difference was she couldn't hide behind anonymity when it was her turn. And honestly, that feels like justice to me.